Hey everybody, my name is Tifarah and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining today. I wanted to talk with you a little bit about 3 ways to not block your blessings. Yes, we're coming up on the summer solstice tomorrow, June 21st. Today is June 20th. And it's an opportunity in the year to realign and to think about what you want. So as important as it is to think about, what it is that you want, you also want to think about the ways that you're going to receive the things that you're manifesting. So specifically, your blessings. So I want to talk to you about 3 ways of how not to block your blessings. Number 1, trust your intuition. I believe that our intuition is really coming from God or your higher power. I say the Holy Spirit. So you always want to listen to that. And if you can help it, listen the first time, because that will spare you a lot of drama and stress in your life. I could write a book about that, but maybe a subject for another video. So one of the ways that you can trust your intuition is to get into the habit of quieting your mind. People do this in a number of ways, meditation, yoga, prayer, or all of the above, ideally. I do all kinds of meditation. I love transcendental meditation. I also just listen to like sleep meditations or, different ones, different meditations for different times, depending on how much time I have. I love centering meditations, all kinds, yoga, same thing. There's all kinds of yoga. There's hatha yoga, which is more meditative, or sleeping yoga, or yogic sleep. So whatever works for you, do that. But you need to give yourself an opportunity to quiet your mind, because without that, it's really difficult to hear your Holy Spirit, or rather your intuition. So yeah, I would say that. And that goes into the second part of this, which is, to seek guidance, from your higher power, or from God, or, whatever the name is that you give to your, higher power, because that's what they're there for. So you always want to, ask for that assistance, because I believe we live in a benevolent universe, I know that not everyone subscribes to that, but I guess I would rather believe that than just to believe that things are kind of random and there's no rhyme or reason to it. Also, I believe in science, and I actually think that science and spirituality can be reconciled, but that's also a topic for another discussion. So I would say that, whatever it is that you believe in, if you believe in something, even if you believe in just yourself, having that power, then ask your higher self, for that guidance. I believe in that as well. So but whatever it is, seek that guidance, and then, listen and pay attention to what you hear or what you're prompted to do. And I'd say the third part of that, listening to your intuition, is don't get caught up in trying to rationalize or think your way, into the solution or the guidance. It's really not the same thing. In fact, it's the opposite. Good friend of mine, Pam, does her Monday morsels, and funny enough, today she was talking about that. It's 2 different parts of the brain that operate. I think it's the left part of the brain, that's more the subconscious mind, that's activated when you use your intuition, and the right side of the brain, that's more the logic side. But studies have shown that when we trust our intuition, we tend to be happier with the decisions that we've made. I know that's true for me. So that's just one of the ways not to block your blessings. Number two is focus on your calling. I realize that not everybody believes that they have a reason for being here. Some people think that everything is random, and there's, or they're just not sure. I'm not going to get into the descriptive names, of those groups or people, and, God bless them, but for me personally, and for those of you who subscribe to this, I believe that we are all here for a reason that only we can serve, by virtue of the fact that we are all unique and different, and blessed in different ways. There are divine purposes, or higher purposes or callings that we all individually have. And I believe that if you're wanting to know what your calling is, one clue would be to follow your joy line. What is it that brings you joy? And some people say, well, you'll know the thing that you love to do if you think about the thing that brings you joy that you would do even if you didn't get paid to do it, or if money was, like not an issue. If you didn't have to work, what would you do? What would you like? So some people are like, I do nothing. It's like, well, that may be your calling. But chances are people, I have a friend who said that there are certain things people enjoy, and that particular friend actually loves to give to people. So he would be, a philanthropist, because he literally loves to just help people and give to people, So, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. We need more, So you really have to kind of be honest with yourself about that. But for those people who maybe know what their calling is, or even if you don't know what your calling is, but you know the things that, bring you joy, focus on that, because ultimately, that's going to be what it is that will help you to manifest more of it. The things that we focus on are the things that we create more of in our lives. The things that we're thankful for allow us to receive more for which we're thankful. So definitely we'll talk about that in upcoming videos, but for right now, focusing on your calling. So what that looks like is if you've got something specific in mind, then you want to have a plan. It's kind of like saying you want to take a trip, but then like you don't have a plan on how you're going to do it, how you're going to get there. So yes, so you've got to have a plan. Like, what is your plan for getting from where you're at to where you want to go? Baby steps, doing something every day. So that gets to, the next thing in this area, which is having a daily routine, or a weekly routine, where you're like, all right, this is what I'm going to do to focus on, getting to this next part, of my calling, this plan. And trust me, I get it. We have plans, and plans change all the time. I would just say it's good to have a plan, but be open, to the possibilities, of what happens outside of the plan. That's life. And, life is beautiful that way. So allow for those, spontaneous opportunities too. And last but not least in that area of focusing on your calling is watch out for the distractions. I have a friend who kind of describes it this way, how does she put it? Distractions are the enemy. So we've really got to, you know, think of it in terms of, if that doesn't resonate, think of it in terms of time management. You know, we've got to focus our time, the majority of it, on the things that are most important to us, that are the priorities. And obviously distractions by their very nature are not that. But it's surprising to kind of, you know, maybe do a review and think about, you know, the things that, you know, we've allowed to distract us, you know, throughout the week. I had to kind of check myself on this recently, you know, had some challenges with some neighbors, and, you know, I allowed myself to get like completely distracted, you know, by drama and nonsense. Things that in the grand scheme, you know, I will look back and literally not even remember. So, you know, I would just say it's easy. It's easy to get wrapped up in the things that don't, you know, really contribute to, you know, you fulfilling your divine purpose or your calling, or just, you know, things that bring you joy. So definitely want to focus more on the things that bring you joy. I can't emphasize that enough, you know, because, you know, the things that we think about, that we focus on, eventually become our realities. So, and last but not least, I would say, and this is for me to really hear this again, this being my first YouTube video after knowing that I should have been doing YouTube videos since 2019, so 3 years later, is don't wait to be perfect to start. You know, it's kind of like, I don't even see myself as a perfectionist. I mean, maybe it's my Virgo rising, I'm not sure. But, you know, nothing against the Virgos out there, much love. But, you know, I would just say, don't, give yourself some grace, you know, because one of the things about grace is that, you know, if you can't really extend grace to yourself, it will definitely be hard to extend that to others, you know. So, or you can look at it in the reverse, you know, like if you want other people to, you know, extend you grace, you know, then, yeah, you should be willing to, you know, do that for others. But it's hard to do that when you don't even do that for yourself, you know. So just be kind, you know, to yourself. It's like, it takes time to grow, you know, and to get up to speed, you know. And I mean, no one's born knowing how to do anything, you know, but maybe just breathe, you know, without thinking about it, you know, and feel hungry and, you know, want to be held and loved. But you get my point. So it's kind of like, you just have to give yourself a break, you know. And like I said, I'm saying this for myself to hear too. So, yeah. I wrote my notes down here. So yeah, first thing I said is that when you're not trying to be perfect, or not waiting to be perfect to start, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Like, you can probably tell how uncomfortable I am, like, doing this video. Self-proclaimed shy person, but what I realize is that label that I've been using is out of convenience, and it's also not truly who I am. It's just a descriptive way that I've looked at myself, because it was a label that got attached early on, and it's no longer useful. So I'm letting that go. So I'm actually not shy. I just am inexperienced in doing YouTube videos, and there's a difference. So also don't love being in front of the camera, but I'm gonna get used to it. And this is part of my calling that I'm fulfilling. So here I am. And that brings me to my next point, which is that when we are acting in alignment with our calling, what happens is that the universe, as my mom would say, The universe responds in kind. So what I mean by that is God, the universe, the angels, the ascended masters, the ancestors, I believe in all of them. They respond, to help us, when we take a step or two, along our divine paths, So it's important, to do that because I believe, again, going back to my theory of a benevolent universe, we have more help than we realize, when we're moving along the path of our calling or the path of our purpose. So there's that. And last but not least, is if you really want to know if you're, moving in the right direction, once you've gotten started, just ask yourself, or if you're debating on whether or not you should start something, ask yourself, are you moving closer to fear or closer to love in doing or not doing the thing? Because, if you're moving closer to fear, I would just say that, the emotions and the feelings and the energies that go with that are of a lower vibrational frequency, and that's not good. But if you're moving, in the direction of love, the vibrational frequencies are higher, and that's where we find the help, because angels and ascendant masters and beings of benevolent energies are operating at higher frequencies. The same is true for the emotions of joy and peace and love. Those are operating at, or actually have a higher vibrational frequency. So you see, truly, it feels better for us to move closer to love than it does to fear. And so that's actually the real check, is how do you feel when you're making decisions, when you're thinking about, starting something or doing something, aside from being nervous or uncomfortable, but are you feeling like you're moving in a direction where you feel good, or are you really sort of moving in the other direction? So just another way to think about, how to be more receptive to all the abundance that is coming to you, and those are the 3 ways of how not to block your blessings. And that's all for me. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care and God bless.